Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another beautiful morning. We are on Parenting Challenge Day 27, and today we're going to talk about anxiety. I decided, a large proportion of the kiddos that I get to meet and work with are actually having lots of difficulties with anxiety. And parents don't necessarily always know that it is the anxiety that's underlying. It's often the behaviors that prompt parents to bring their kids to me. And so when we look at anxiety, it can manifest in lots of different ways. Some kids, it's very obvious that they're scared or they're crying, they don't want to go to school. They've got a little bit of separation anxiety. Or for a lot of kids that I work with, it comes out as defiance, fighting, aggression, right? And there's this underlying social anxiety, for example, and they're fighting with their peers because it's better to have this tough facade rather than show my soft inner workings, right? And being vulnerable. So anxiety can manifest in lots of different ways. You've got those internalizers who are quiet and keep things to themselves, and maybe they go to their room and cry and they don't really express a lot, or they're really explosive kids. So there's a wide variety. And even one child can show roller coaster of emotions. For today, though, there's so much to talk about when we look at anxiety, but I really want to look at how parents might inadvertently be making their kids' anxiety worse. We're all very well intentioned and we feel like we're supporting our kids, but oftentimes in doing so, we're actually increasing their anxiety. And so, I always say whenever I do my anxiety workshops, again, addressing the whole guilt thing. Sometimes it's better, ignorance is a bliss, better not to know any information at all. But that's why I wanted to do this challenge where we're working on one little thing a day. We're not ever going to do everything perfect. I had an abysmal parenting day yesterday. It happens. I make mistakes too, and I'm an expert, right? This is tough work, but it's just being focused one thing at a time. So the first thing that we do as parents is we reassure our kids. It's okay, kiddo, right? It's not a big deal, or that situation's not going to happen. Breaking in is a good example. I've had kids who are scared that their house is going to get broken into, and parents are like, no, it's not going to happen. We've got security systems and we've got locks. But guess what? We can never guarantee anything in life. Right? And it just so happens one of the kiddos that I worked with who was really scared about having his house broken into, his house got broken into. And guess what? Now he doesn't trust his parents and the world is an even scarier place, right? So reassuring our kids can be really tricky just because there is no guarantees. So, or vomiting. Kids are scared that they're going to throw up at school. And we're like, kiddo, you haven't thrown up at school for 554 days. Why do you think today is going to be the day? But guess what? Maybe today will be the day, right? And we're just increasing that. And that's exactly what anxiety wants. Anxiety wants reassurance. It wants comfort. It also wants certainty. And that's why kids ask the same question over and over. What time are we going to come home? Who's going to be there? What are we going to do? What are we going to eat? They're asking all of these questions. By us answering those questions, we're just filling up their answer bank. Answers that they probably already have. And the more we're engaging and talking about it, we're reinforcing the anxiety because it's like, see, we're talking about it. So obviously it's a big deal because we're spending so much time rehashing. Kids need to be able to go into situations not knowing what's going to happen. Maybe a couple of things. I love the idea of writing down everything I know and everything I don't know. So all of the questions. So maybe it's a sleepover, for example. What do I know? Well, I know whose house I'm going to, right? I'm going to write that down. I know who the mom is. I know where I'm going to sleep. What I don't know is, who's all going to be there? Is his little brother going to be there? What movies are we going to watch? What are we going to eat for dinner? All of these types of things. So what I know, what I don't know. Then the kiddo can go to the sleepover, and as he or she finds out, what's happening, they can move that what I don't know, draw an arrow over to what I know. So now they are learning through their own experience what's going to happen. Right? And it's through their experience that they learn. It's not coming through our reassurance. The other problem with reassurance is we're not really validating how they're feeling. Even if they say, it's okay, honey, like kiddo, there's no monsters under your bed. We have now just minimized how they're feeling. Maybe they feel babyish, but they're still going to go to bed feeling scared. And maybe they're going to go underground with their feelings because they're not going to come to us because now we've minimized their feelings. right? So these types of things can be really important when we're thinking about, are we validating how our kids are actually feeling? Are we fueling the anxiety, making it worse? Because there's no guarantees. Another common one is we give them an escape hatch. I love using the example of the sleepover again. It's okay, kiddo. You know what? You can call me at any time, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you want to come home, I will come and get you. We give them an escape route, right? And essentially we're sending them the message that they can't handle it. So we're just fueling that anxiety. They're going to feel anxious all night. When am I going to call? Okay, I'm going to call now. And then it's not until we come and get them that anxiety is decreased. So guess what? We've just reinforced that anxiety because they've been feeling anxious all night. And it's not until we come and help them and support them that anxiety goes away. So now we've just reinforced, I can't do it on my own. I need mom and dad to help me and to save me, right? Whereas if they know that there's no option, I usually tell parents, if you're going to do a sleepover, it's one of two options. You're either going to say, kiddo, you're only going till 11 o'clock, or you're only going until the movie's done. You're not actually going to sleep over and I'm coming to pick you up. Right? So you can do that because it's normally, if it's our own heartstrings that get in the way. We're like, oh my goodness, my kiddo. But when we go and save them, we're just making it worse. Or it's or you are there. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not answering texts. You are there. And what are things that you can do to make yourselves feel better? Now, there's obviously some underlying skills there, but we just want to make sure we're not making things worse. Sometimes we have too high of expectations or we push our kids. I remember when I took, my kids were younger and we went to the fun Gymboree, Jimbo the Clown classes, and there was the parachute, and the kids couldn't have been, I think they were about, 18 months, 2 years old, and we had to go under the parachute, and there was one kiddo in the corner screaming, terrified of going under this parachute. And the mom's like, it's gonna be so much fun. And they take their kids and they shove them under. And guess what? It wasn't fun for that kid. He was anxious the whole time, again, until he left that parachute. I feel better. And now we've reinforced that idea that the parachute's very scary. So we need to be careful of that. Sometimes we use catastrophic language, right? Sorry, mom, if you're watching or gonna watch. Even those little things can cause our stress. It increases our cortisol in our own body, but also our kids' body, right? Even just doing those little things, or be careful. And I've talked about this before. When we're saying those words, it's like, oh, you're going to fall, you're not going to do it. And so we're telling them that they can't do it. But catastrophic language is, let's say you're going to go out, you're going to go grocery shopping, you're leaving your kids at home, and you say, hey, kiddo, can you lock the door? We can just leave our sentence right there, but we don't. We go a little bit further. We might say, hey, kiddo, lock the door. Because otherwise someone might break in and snatch you away or steal all our stuff. And now our kids are like, oh my goodness. Now you got to know, I can say that to my younger kiddo and it's not a big deal. She'll be like, yeah, mom, whatever. But if I said that to my older one, maybe not now, but when she was younger, she would be the whole time like, oh my gosh, scared. So we got to be careful with the language that we're using. We might do things for our kids. Hey, kiddo, you know what? I know the school bus is really anxiety driven. I'll drive you to school. Or let me talk to your teacher. Or let me do this for you, right? We're going to jump in. All of those things are reinforcing that idea that you can't handle it. And guess what? When we're telling them they can't handle it, that's exactly what anxiety wants them to think. Here's the situation and I can't handle it. We also stress them out, just hanging over their shoulder. There's been research, and I've talked about this before, research where moms are watching their kids do puzzles, and the only thing they were supposed to do is not help their kids, not say anything, but their moms would go do little sounds like that, or they'd be like trying to help their kids. 100% of the moms would help their kids. Now they were hooked up to machines, to check their sweat glands and breathing rate and heart rate. And so as moms watched their kids do the puzzles, the mom's anxiety was elevating. As soon as they jumped in to help their kids, even though they weren't supposed to, as soon as they jumped in, they relaxed, they were calm. But guess what? The kids who were busy doing the puzzle were happy as clams until their mom stepped in to try to help them. Then their anxiety went through the roof and stayed through the roof until they were done, until they left. So today, think about your kids, think about some of the behaviors. Is there underlying anxiety? Usually anxiety does underlie a lot of behaviors. Things like anger, for example, are secondary emotions. Anger is usually the secondary emotion to fear, right? So fear of failing, maybe, if you've got a kiddo who's avoiding writing, avoiding math, maybe there's a vulnerability piece there, right? Or avoiding, they become so rigid, I have to do things my way because then I've got predictability, which is what anxiety wants. I want to know for 100% that I can do it. And so I don't want to go play that game or go, try something new with those friends because I might fail. And maybe you can start incorporating a brave thing of the day, right? We got to model our own brave behaviors because I'm sure there's things that we don't do because we, don't want to look cool, or we do want to look cool, or we're scared ourselves, right? So I know my eldest daughter, she had a little bit of social anxiety when she was younger going to school. So we had a brave jar. And so we had all these ideas. We wrote them down on paper and we put the ideas in the jar. And every day, every morning before she went to school, she had to pick a piece of paper out and read it and go and do that at school. Some way to initiate or engage with other peers at school. So every day it's stretching. That's where we start building our resilience. Now, anxiety is a good thing. We need it in certain situations, but when it starts overtaking, our ability to engage, whether it's in activities or social functions or it's coming out behaviorally, we really need to make sure we address it. So maybe it's a family thing that you're doing these brave things, right? And if you are working with this, look at the ways that you're responding and how can you respond in helpful ways. Now, there's a lot of things that I can go into. Like I said, again, it's just scratching the surface, but essentially you're becoming the coach. You're not becoming the lifesaver, you're becoming the coach. How would a coach handle that, right? Essentially, they'd be asking those questions. How do you think you can handle this situation that's tricky? Looks like you're stuck, and how can I help? So for today, look for those behaviors and see how you can start stretching yourself, doing things, stretching out of your comfort zone, doing things you might not be comfortable with, and getting your kids to start doing things for themselves, right? Maybe they're the ones ordering, even though, you're going through drive-through at Dairy Queen, they're calling over and doing their ordering. There's little things like that we're always doing for them, and that's just sending them that message. So go have a wonderful day. Be brave. Encourage your kids to be brave, and I will see you tomorrow. Oh, and I did actually forget. It seems like there's all these webinars all of a sudden. I am doing a free webinar next week. So if you want to learn more, I'm going to be talking about parent traps and then specifically strategies that we can do and all the skills that kids need to learn to help overcome anxiety. And so I'll make sure I'll post all that information for you as well. So go have a wonderful day and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.